In the late 19th century, Chicago was a city on the rise, growing rapidly in both population and prestige. As the hub of the Midwest, this bustling metropolis was a beacon of opportunity, drawing in a surge of immigrants and fortune seekers. It was a period of prosperity, with the city's skyline changing almost daily due to a construction boom. Chicago's architecture, however, was largely made of wood, a readily available material in a city surrounded by forests. From the humblest homes to the grandest edifices, the city was a sprawling canvas of timber. The streets, the bridges, even the sidewalks were all wooden, creating an urban jungle ripe for the smallest spark. The social and economic conditions of the time also played their part. A city so densely populated and rapidly expanding was bound to face challenges. Yet with this growth came risks, and in October 1871, these risks would become all too real. On the evening of October 8, 1871, a fire broke out in the barn of Patrick and Catherine O'Leary. A seemingly innocuous event in a city where barn fires were not uncommon. But this one was different. It would grow into the infamous Great Chicago Fire, a catastrophic event that would forever change the landscape of the city. The exact cause of the fire remains a mystery, shrouded in speculation and folklore. The most popular account, though thoroughly debunked, is the tale of Mrs. O'Leary's cow. The story goes that the fire began when the cow, in a fit of bovine clumsiness, kicked over a lantern in the barn. Though it makes for a colourful legend, there's no real evidence to support this theory. In fact, the O'Learys were exonerated in 1997, over a century after the fire, by the Chicago City Council. What we do know is that the fire, once started, spread with a speed and ferocity that left the city's residents and firefighters reeling. Chicago at that time was a city of wood, wooden houses, wooden sidewalks, even wooden roads. It was a city built to burn, and the conditions couldn't have been worse for preventing a fire. The summer of 1871 had been one of the driest on record, leaving the city as tinder, waiting for a spark. Over the course of the next 2 days, the fire would consume the city. Unrelenting and voracious, the fire spread like a wild beast across the cityscape. Its progress was aided by a cocktail of unfortunate circumstances. Strong winds, gusting from the southwest, whipped the fire into a frenzy, propelling it towards the heart of the city. Chicago's infrastructure, largely wooden at the time, was a delectable feast for the advancing flames. These seemingly innocuous wooden structures, which were once symbols of the city's rapid growth and promise, now served as kindling, fueling the fire's insatiable appetite. The fire, in its devastating advance, was indiscriminate and ruthless. It paid no heed to the significance or grandeur of the city's landmarks. The courthouse, a symbol of justice and order, fell prey to the flames. So did the water tower, a monument to the city's architectural prowess. The city's residents, thousands of them, watched in helpless despair as their homes were consumed by the fire. Their belongings, their memories, reduced to ash within minutes. Panic spread as quickly as the fire itself, with families scrambling to save what they could and escape the advancing inferno. Chicago, once a bustling metropolis, teetered on the brink of anarchy. The city's fire department, ill-prepared for a calamity of this magnitude, struggled to contain the fire and rescue the trapped citizens. The fire, emboldened by the chaos, continued its destructive march across the city. As the fire raged on, it painted a picture of destruction and despair. But in the midst of this chaos, there were stories of courage and resilience. Ordinary citizens risking their lives to save their neighbours. The fire might have been unrelenting, but so was the spirit of the people of Chicago. By the time the fire was finally subdued, it had left an indelible mark on the city. By the morning of October 10th, much of the city lay in ruins. The Great Chicago Fire had forever changed the course of the city's history, but as we will see in the next chapter, it was not the end, but rather the beginning of a new era for Chicago. In the wake of the fire, Chicago faced a monumental task. The flames had ravaged the city, leaving in their wake a landscape of charred remains and a sky filled with the haunting echo of the disaster. The loss was immense. Nearly 300 lives claimed, a third of the city's population left homeless, and over 17,000 buildings reduced to rubble. As the smoke cleared, the magnitude of the devastation became painfully clear. The once bustling streets were now filled with displaced residents, their faces etched with the harsh reality of their losses. Desperate for aid and shelter, they turned to their fellow Chicagoans, and the response was immediate and overwhelming. Local businesses, churches, and private citizens opened their doors to provide shelter and sustenance. Soup kitchens sprouted on street corners, offering a warm meal to those in need. Makeshift hospitals and aid stations were hastily set up, offering much-needed medical attention to the injured and sick. Yet the city was not alone in its struggle. News of the fire had spread far and wide, and aid began to pour in from other cities, states, and even countries. Train cars filled with food, clothing, and supplies rolled into the city from all directions. Financial donations from as far away as London and Paris helped fund the city's recovery efforts. The response was a testament to the solidarity and compassion of the global community. It highlighted the strength of human spirit, the capacity for empathy, and the resilience in the face of adversity. It was a beacon of hope in the midst of darkness, a symbol of unity in a time of chaos. But the road to recovery was long and arduous. The city had to be rebuilt, lives had to be mended, and hope had to be restored. It was a monumental task, but one that the people of Chicago were ready to undertake. Yet, even in the face of such devastation, the spirit of Chicago remained unbroken. The city, like a phoenix, was ready to rise from the ashes, stronger and more resilient than ever before. And so, the story of Chicago's recovery begins. In the years following the fire, Chicago would embark on one of the greatest rebuilding efforts in history. As the embers cooled and the smoke cleared, the city found itself facing a daunting task. But if there's one thing we know about Chicagoans, it's that they don't back down from a challenge. The city was decimated, but its spirit was unbroken. The destruction became the canvas upon which a new city would rise, one that would be built to withstand future calamities. Architects and engineers were called upon to design and construct a city that would not only replace what was lost, but would surpass it. The rebuilding effort was marked by innovation and determination. New building codes were implemented, requiring structures to be constructed of fire-resistant materials. This was a significant shift from the wooden buildings that had been common before the fire, and it laid the groundwork for the city's future architectural achievements. Today, the Great Chicago Fire is remembered not just for the destruction it caused, but for the resilience it revealed. This monumental event left an indelible mark on the city, influencing not just its physical landscape, but also its spirit. The fire's aftermath sparked a revolution in urban planning and architecture. It taught us a valuable lesson about the importance of building materials and fireproof design, shaping cities around the world. The fire also prompted reformation in disaster response and prevention strategies, leading to the establishment of more organized and efficient fire departments. Every year, the city commemorates the fire, not as a day of mourning, but as a testament to Chicago's collective strength and resilience. These events, these memories, are woven into the very fabric of the city, reminding us that even from the most devastating of fires can rise a city stronger, prouder, and more resolute. The fire reshaped Chicago, but more importantly, it revealed the spirit of a city that could rise from the ashes, stronger and more determined than ever.